Chris Wyatt Africa on the Rugby Ascendant segment. I'm trying to get out of the sun here. You can see it's pretty brutal there. Welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you join me. First off, I'll probably not be reading any comments. Apparently, that hurts some people's feelings. We don't understand the whole concept of YouTube and audience engagement. The whole thing that YouTube invented super chats just so that comments would be read by content creators. And the whole thing, if you're a content creator on YouTube, they actually encourage you to engage your audience and their comments to make them part of what's going on. But apparently that's lost on some people on YouTube. I don't know if these are the paid professional trolls that the folks over in the CCP are actually paying to watch what's going on. I don't know. But welcome back to the program. The story out of the Rugby World Cup semifinal, where Tom Curry allegedly accused Bongi Mbonambi, South Africa's hooker, of a racial slur. That story still has legs. It's not going away. We knew this was going to come eventually, but the Daily Mail's Nick Simon sat down with England's flanker Tom Curry recently, and he did an interview at Sales Training Base in the UK. Now, Nick Simon states that the issue that Curry wanted to talk about in this interview, he wanted to address the incident with the Springbok hooker Bongi Mbonambi. He said, yes, he never details why or even offers much in the way of quoting Tom Curry. He even quotes Curry saying he does not care to discuss it. So is this Nick Simon looking for attention or Tom Curry moaning? I'm going to go with the first one here. So that sun is really distracting. I hope it's not bothering you guys. Let me try to get over here a little bit more. But yeah, so again, let me just read through my notes here. It says, you know, the issue that Nick Simon says that Tom Curry wants to discuss is the Bongi Mbonambi incident. But then he never really details why Tom Curry wants to talk about this, to get off his chest or to explain or for it to be gone away. He never explains that. And he even quotes Tom Curry saying that Curry says he doesn't really want to talk about this. So again, is this story, this exclusive interview in the Daily Mail in the UK, simply Nick Simon looking for attention, or is it Tom Curry, you know, trying to let stuff off his chest? I'll go with it's Nick Simon looking for attention. On the England semifinal exit from the Rugby World Cup, he quoted Tom Curry as saying, the disappointment of the semifinal, being a point away, it's sad. It was a roller coaster of emotions. We had a lot of doubters, so to come away with a bronze medal, I couldn't be prouder. Those challenging moments are the ones that you're grateful for. You want it to be plain sailing, but it isn't. No, that's you know, people want to attack Tom Curry. That's a fair comment. Very forthright for him. Listen, he got a silver in 2019 as a 21-year-old. As a 25-year-old, he gets a bronze this time. And as Nick Simon himself mentions later on, there's always 2023 or 2027. Excuse me, 2027 in Australia. So he'll still be young enough to play again on the England side if they take him. But Curry, you know, he says they're proud. He's proud that they got a bronze since they came in third. But let's be fair, England had a very soft pool. They did what they needed to in this World Cup. And I said that throughout the World Cup, they did what they needed to, and they managed to get things done. So well done on their part. Well done on their part to get third. But this is not a team that was particularly good, but they got done what they needed to get done. The guy I felt bad for was Ford. I mean, the guy had a brilliant World Cup, and then as soon as Owen Farrell came back, he was relegated to the bench and really didn't play. Now, this is what Nick Simon says. He says, the issue that Curry wants to address is the incident with Springbok hooker Bongi Mbonambi. Curry had reported Bongi to the referee during England's semifinal in Paris when he heard the South African call him a white during a break in play. It's also alleged that this thing happened again previously last year. So now this is what Tom Curry actually says. So before people start grilling Tom Curry for moaning and bringing this topic up, it doesn't appear that that's the reason Tom Curry gave the interview. He gave an interview to a rugby journalist who wanted to talk to him about rugby. And I'm sure he expected this topic to come up, but it does not appear that this is why Tom Curry offered an interview. So Tom Curry says, I didn't really want to speak about it from the start. For me, on both occasions, the ball was out of play. Me and Bongi were talking, and there's no misunderstanding from my part. I went to the referee straight away. I heard what I heard. That's all I really want to say about it, and I won't really be talking about it again. So there you go. That's the end of the topic for Tom Curry. Now, if he does bring it up again, we'll see if he sticks to his word, but no reason to doubt Tom Curry. It's a unsavory topic to talk about. And quite frankly, Tom Curry didn't lodge a complaint with World Rugby. England Rugby Union did. So again, my criticism, if I have any, comes England Rugby Union. At the time it occurred, it looked like it appeared. We don't know. I wasn't on the pitch. You could hear some things in the microphone, but not all from the referee's microphone. Of course, it was Ben O'Keefe who was on the pitch for that semifinal game. it appeared during the game, watching it, calling it color commentary, play-by-play, it appeared that Tom Curry was just gaming the system, coming over to the referee, trying to get some attention, get a foul called or something like that. But again, I don't have all the facts. That's what it appeared to the casual viewer. Tom Curry is saying he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. But Nick Simon is trying to play this up as if this is an exclusive interview to explain why he made the allegation. Now, he did say the following. This is from Tom Curry. It was tough for my family, my girlfriend, and my brother. It was a tough experience, but it is what it is. The investigation's been done, and that's all I want to say about it. So there you go. Good on you, and I think that should be the end of it. Now, Nick Simon, this is published in the Daily Mail as an exclusive interview. In an interview, you expect quotes, you expect a summary of what was said by the person you interview. And if there's any op-ed, it should be clear that it's opinion and not factual. There should be no cheerleading for one side or the other in an interview unless you're upfront about it. Now, Nick Simon is never upfront saying that he clearly is in favor of Tom Curry and he has an issue with South African rugby. But if you read the op-ed, because it's not a news story, it says interview, but it's really an opinion piece. If you read it, it's pretty clear that he's trying to drive a narrative and not simply get an exclusive interview with Tom Curry. So, this is what Nick Simon says. Now, he's cheerleading, not reporting. Let me give you an example of how journalists, whether they're news media journalists that cover events in Gaza, or they cover Ukraine, or they cover Joe Biden or Cyril Ramaphosa, in mainstream media and a mainstream broadcast, how they take their opinion and insert themselves in the story. Now, commentators are different. Sean Hannity, I don't really care for the guy, but Sean Hannity is a commentator. And of course, he interjects his opinion, his analysis. That's his job. And it's the same for me. When I report the news, I analyze it, then I offer my opinions, and I'm clear about those. But Nick Simon is not clear that this is his opinion. This is what Nick Simon says about Tom Curry. Throughout his career, Curry has never been an individual who seeks the limelight or courts headlines. He is here on his own accord to give his own version of events rather than sit on his hands as his loved ones are dragged into the complex and toxic narrative. Really? That's not news reporting, folks. That's very flowing op-ed commentary. So let's just get that straight. So Nick Simon is not simply reporting. He's not simply this is not what happened. Okay, based on reading this is not what happened. Okay. Hello, Tom Curry. Yeah, this is Nick Simon. I'd like to sit down with you and talk to you about this incident in the Rugby World Cup. Can we do that? Tom Curry. Absolutely, man. Happy to do it. Come down. Come to the SAIL training base. We're going to sit down. I'll talk to you. I'll explain everything. But that's how this is presented as a story when you look at exclusive racist slur response from Tom Curry. But that's not what unfolds. You see cheerleading from Nick Simon, and that's the first part there. Throughout his career, he's never sought the limelight. Really? Okay. You've ever watched Tom Curry on the pitch? He certainly seeks attention there. I'm not criticizing Tom Curry. That's not at all. He's a pretty good flanker. Anyway, now, this is more of what Nick Simon said. The situation was distastefully mocked by the South African government, and Mbonambi was even presented with a jersey that derided the allegations. Curry's family were subsequently subjected to online abuse, leaving the 25-year-old in a position he wants to quickly move on from. Now, distastefully, that's an adjective to describe a noun. Distastefully mocked. Actually, it's an adverb describing a verb here. Adverb. It's a descriptive word, distastefully. That's a subjunctive determination. Now, you can say sarcastically, you can say, or you could simply say he was mocked. The situation was mocked by the South African government. You could have said that. That's less op-ed. Yeah, and he said Curry's family was subsequently subjected to online abuse. Now, an objective, balanced story would have told you that Bongi Mbonambi was immediately attacked as a racist by English supporters and by rugby supporters around the world, calling Bongi Mbonambi a racist for an unsubstantiated allegation. Now, I'm not saying Bongi never said that. His explanation and Saro's explanation is it was Afrikaans wit kunt. I'll accept that. Tom Curry doesn't, but he's not going on about it. Nick Simon's going on about it. This is the media looking for headlines. Now, you might say, hey, Chris, look, you're here on a live stream and you're talking about it. Aren't you looking for clicks? Well, I suppose you got me. Yes, I want attention on rugby union. Not negative attention, but attention on rugby union. It's a great sport. And yes, I do like people to watch my content and comment on it. But I'm reporting on Nick Simon and analyzing what he did, misleading the viewer. That's what I'm talking about, misleading the reader in this case on the internet. So, yeah, Curry does clearly want to move on from this, but Nick Simon doesn't want to. He wants to use this. So, Now, here's an interesting thing. Tom Curry, when Nas Bota and I were talking early in the World Cup, Nas was not happy about the red card issued to Tom Curry in that game against Argentina. He said that was unwarranted. I was kind of, it's marginal. Then I kind of was convinced maybe it was a bit excessive. Yeah, I'm still kind of on the fence. So you can come out and say, Chris, you said it was this, then you said it was that. Yeah, in the moment, I was like, wow. And then I thought it wasn't. Then I thought it was. So yeah, it's a subjective thing, that red card on Tom Curry. But for his part, Tom Curry is manned up on the red card. Let me read to you what he had to say. Yeah. So he said Tom Curry also manned up on his red card, admitting, quote, personally, with mine, I think the ref got the right call. I need to be lower. I did my tackle school, and it made me a lot more conscious about dropping my height. Safety, safety. As players, we just have to adapt. The referees did a great job under a lot of pressure. The main thing is consistency. That's the crux of it. Now, that's awesome of Tom Curry to man up like that. Awesome of Tom Curry to man up like that. I mean, that's what he should do, and that's the right response. Now, did he do it because he just wants the issue to go away? I don't know. I'll accept Tom Curry's explanation. He said, hey, I was wrong. Now, the reason that came up is because Tom Curry was asked about watching the final. And he had some nice things to say about South Africa. He said, basically, South Africa, they won that game. They earned that game. So thank you, Tom Curry, for that. Appreciate your analysis. By the way, David Campisi was also recently asked about this. This is the Australian rugby legend, David Campisi, and he also coached in South Africa. David Campisi had brilliant things to say about South African rugby. People are complaining about South Africa slowing the game down. He pointed out, look at England in the semifinal. They really tried to turgidly slow that game down. But it was a strategy, and it was working for them till late in the game when the bomb squad overwhelmed them coming off the bench. But anyway, so Tom Curry had nice things to say about this performance by the Springboks in the final. And in it, Nick Simon asked a question about the red card on Sam Cane. And to his credit, Tom Curry quickly reflected on his red card. That's a good way to answer it. Rather than get involved in a imbroglio about whether Cane's card was legitimate, Tom Curry said, well, look, my card was legitimate. The referees did a good job. I was high. I've taken tackle school when I realized the importance of safety, and refs have a tough job. And that was well said by Tom Curry. So again, I just want to come on and cover this. I mean, anything we can find is newsworthy to talk about rugby union, happy to do that. At least while we have platforms channels on this platform anyway. So yeah, I got no beef with Tom Curry. If he thinks he heard that, that's what he thinks he heard. Bongi Mbonambi claims it was something completely different. South African Rugby claims same thing, and I'll accept that as well for now. So anyway, so Tom Curry's exclusive interview with the Daily Mail's Nick Simon is a lot less news and a lot more wishful thinking from Nick Simon. Look, it's well written, it's accurate, but it's not an exclusive interview news. It's an exclusive interview with op-ed interspersed in it, and titles that are sort of like clickbait to get you to come watch it. Not necessary. I think all of us wanted to hear what Tom Curry had to say. This is what I would have said. I would have said exclusive interview with Tom Curry in which he moves on from Rugby World Cup experience, or something like that. That would have been more accurate, and he's not going to dwell on it. But the interesting thing for me is that and maybe that's why England came up with this appeal in the first place, or this lodged this complaint in the first place, when they said, which we had never heard, none of us had ever heard this before, I never knew about, supposedly when they played South Africa at Twickenham last year, he accused Bongi Mbonambi of the same thing. So that never came out last year. So maybe, if he heard that last year and then he thought he heard it again this year, that was, the straw that broke the camel's back. And maybe that's why Tom Curry went up to Ben O'Keefe incorrectly instead of going to his captain, Owen Farrell, and having him go to the official. But look, as I've said before, this World Cup was full of players approaching the officials all the time. It was very seldom that officials got control of the situation and chased players away. It happened a few times. We saw a couple times when officials just had enough and he said, that's it, and moved the ball 10 meters forward because players were approaching and talking to the official and trying to jaw jack the official to get a call. An official would punish them. On more than one occasion, this happened in the World Cup. People are complaining about officiating the World Cup, and I think it's fair to complain about officiating the World Cup, this World Cup. And I think that it's fair to have an opinion about it. After all, you're fans, you spend money, you go to the games, you buy the kit, you support your teams. I think that's perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. But what I will say about all of this is that it's not just the officials that need to clean up their game, it's the players. It's the players who need to clean up their game in rugby union. The high tackling is not new. If you tackle correctly in rugby, you will rarely get a card, and you will rarely be injured because you're taught the proper way to tackle someone. You don't dive your head into their gut or at their head. You bend over, you go for the waist, and you go for the outside, place your head on the outside. And if you tackle properly, now sometimes movement, sudden turns, things like that cause, issues. But the bottom line is if you tackle correctly, you're not going to have those problems. So the players need to clean up their game. And also, it's not just the players that need to clean up their game. The players with tackling, they need to clean up their nonsense talking to officials. I appreciate being on the pitch. I've played sports. I've played basketball. I've played football. I've played baseball and softball. And when a call goes against you, you're like, what? It's your natural instinct approach. But in the game of rugby union, you have a captain, and your captain is the only person who's supposed to address the official. Now, flip that around. It is the responsibility of officials to treat the captains with respect and consideration, and for the captains to do the same to the officials. We've seen a lot in this World Cup in which team captains were out of hand dismissed. Now, if it's in the second half and the captain has been replaced by someone on the benches, there could be confusion. The referee might have forgotten, but not from the start of the game when a team captain is simply dismissed out of hand by the official. It's your job to know who the team captain is, and they actually inform you from the sideline when they come in. So, let's clean up that. There's a lot of work to be done here by rugby players and by rugby union. Yeah, by World Rugby, that is. Anyway, folks, I think that's it. I just want to get this on here and talk briefly about Tom Curry's story with Bongi Mbonambi. Again, to me, this Daily Mail exclusive interview from the Sale Trading Center by Nick Simon is a lot to do about nothing. What do we expect Tom Curry to say? He hasn't spoken publicly about it before. He probably didn't want to speak publicly about it here, but we're led to believe he wanted to talk about it. I mean, that's exactly what Nick Simon says. Now, maybe that's true, and maybe during the course of the interview, Tom Curry changed his position. Maybe Nick Simon contacted him and said, hey, I want to talk to you about the racial slur incident during the World Cup. And Curry said, yeah, let's do it. And then when he got there, maybe Curry changed his mind. I don't know, but Nick Simon never tells us that. He never tells us that. Yeah, he says the issue that Curry wants to address is the incident with Springbok hooker Bongi Mbonambi. Yet that occupies about 10%, maybe 15% of the total text in this article. 10%, I think, tops. So clearly, that's not what it's all about. This is about, I don't want to say, dare I say, clickbait, or the media creating a story. This story is not going to go away, particularly when England plays at Twickenham against the All Blacks next year. If Bongi Mbonambi and Tom Curry are on the pitch, this story will come back. Again, as I've said, the best conclusion to this is England Rugby Union and the South African Rugby Union get in touch before that game. They have both players come out on the field, shake each other's hands, embrace, pat each other in the back, something like that, and then walk back and start the game. After the game, you can either have a press conference, when you do man of the match and then talk to coaches. They could have both those guys together. Hey guys, now you've played together again. Are we moving on? Is it bygones be gones and bygones be bygones? That's the best approach to this, and let's hope that that's the sort of thing that happens going forward. Anyway, folks, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, please become one. We really do appreciate it. It's difficult to overcome some of the challenges we face, but we do appreciate your patronage. We do appreciate your likes, your comments. If they're adult comments, you're welcome to leave one behind. If you don't like my analysis, that's fine, but be specific. Don't just call me names. It really is not productive. But if you've got issues like this time, you'll notice I didn't once reference any of my wonderful viewing audience's comments here because a couple people found that disturbing. They equated it with someone who answers a text message in the middle of a conversation. That's rude. Well, some people actually have to answer a text message in the middle of that. Some people have to do that. So if you are a person who takes offense because someone answered a text message in the middle of a conversation when they're responsible for the lives and welfare of thousands of people, or the success of a business that provides jobs, or because a family member is taken ill or had a traffic accident, you need to check yourself. Now, if you're complaining about someone, you're hanging out in the club, like, hang on, I got to take this message. Yeah, so Sally, yeah, what's going on? Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, that is rude. That is rude. But addressing text comments in a live stream from a viewing audience who is kind enough to watch the content is not disrespectful. It's also not rude. In fact, it's encouraged by YouTube. And if you don't know that, then you don't know much about live streaming and you don't know much about YouTube. It actually creates a whole mechanism to encourage content creators like myself and tens of millions of others, to engage with the audience. It's called Super Chat, in which people on monetized channels can actually give you money in their own currency. And then YouTube takes a bunch of that. And you get a little bit of money to highlight their question or comment. That's how it works. Anyway, that's it, folks. I'm going to wrap up here. Have a good day. Be sure to hit the like button. I see only 29 of you have done that so far. Boy, it doesn't take but a second to do that. Hit that like button. I'll catch you later. I'll be live at the top of the next hour with Byron Shepard from Morning Shot. It's the Bri Brews live on Chris Wyatt Africa. Cheers, everybody. Be safe out there. Don't take any wooden nickels. And be sure when you read a story, you know the difference between news and opinion editorial. Cheers, everybody.